Today's episode is sponsored by our friends over at Squarespace. Sammy is back.
Let's go, baby.
Guy. We're back with another great episode. I've been done with doing these alone. And I said, buddy, would you mind coming back? The comments want you. The comments want you. So
small majority want me.
Well, just a small majority.
Tiny bit.
Just 51%. So today we're talking about what we're comparing, talking about the synergies between some of our favorite drinks, favorite alcoholic beverages, and some watch brands, right? Talking about what do these things have in common? I know it's kind of a funny one, but what do these things have in common? And we actually put quite a bit of effort into this. So this episode actually is going to make quite a bit of sense. It's cheeky, and a lot of the boozes here we like, even though we're going to be a little bit critical and poke a little bit of fun. The watch brands we like as well. So today's going to be a great episode. We'll do a quick wristwatch check, obviously.
Yeah, what are you
wearing on the wrist?
I got the Zodiac Super Seawolf on, the one that you gifted me from Huckberry.
Titanium.
I love this watch.
Absolutely
This
beautiful.
is my favorite summer watch.
I'm wearing my Rolex Datejust 1977. First time I'm wearing this on a Jubilee bracelet.
Beautiful.
I wore it all week. I'm really enjoying it. This watch is not available in the Theo and Harris Vintage Watch Shop, but a whole bunch of other watches from Rolex and Tudor and Omega, Patek Philippe, etc. are. So go ahead and take a look in that shop, and let's get into this episode. Let's start off with Tito's Vodka.
Ooh.
So what I essentially did was I picked out the drink, and I wrote a little description, and then we assigned it together with a watch brand. So let's start off with Tito's Vodka, a favorite of ours.
Naturally,
it's not our favorite vodka, but it's certainly a go-to drink in general.
I like to call it old reliable.
It's old reliable. So here's the description that I wrote here: cheap but not embarrassing, reliable, and enjoyed now and again by even people who can afford better.
Okay. I like that. I would say affordable, not cheap.
Sure. I might even go as far as cheap.
I'm going to say affordable. I want to feel better about myself.
So affordable but not embarrassing, cheap but not embarrassing, reliable and enjoyed now and again by even people who can afford better.
Hit me with it. What's the watch brand?
Swatch.
Oh,
100%.
perfect.
The only thing I could have included there was, like makes you playful and fun. Makes you want to rub your nipples.
I think it goes with I think the other brands you could throw in there. Swatch, obviously.
Yeah.
Throw Timex in there.
Yes.
Throw Casio in there.
That whole class of watch, right?
Yeah.
That affordable, kind of fun, but no matter how much money you have, you can kind of still find the value in it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, Tito's. Yeah, Tito's. All right, fine. Fine.
And you throw a few of those in me, I'm going to be pretty fun, just like my Swatch.
Exactly. Whereas you can't say the same thing about truly bottom. Sure, you can't say the same thing about Majorska, for argument's sake, right? That's something.
Take me back to college,
once
baby.
Once you're done having that, you never have it again. It's never like that with Swatch. I know people with very complicated Patek Philippe's that are still like, oh yeah, I used to have Swatches when I was a kid. I bought my son one not that long ago.
So what's the Majorska equivalent?
I don't know.
Do you have one on top of your
Daniel
head?
Wellington.
I don't know what that is.
Except Daniel Wellington is like the Alibaba brand that just makes horrible, horrible, horrible watches that you're embarrassed you ever wore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's like a movement.
No, yeah. It's
movement watches.
Yeah, Daniel Wellington. MVMT.
Oh,
yeah,
is it? Okay.
Same kind of thing. Exactly. MVMT. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So that's that class. Next one, Colonel Taylor Bourbon. This is a bourbon that John has gifted me. Big Wrist John has gifted me many times. The bourbon that has this big cult following that men, travel all over to liquor stores to look for, almost like in Jingle All the Way, Sinbad and Arnold Schwarzenegger fighting each other over it. Right? So the description that I wrote here is sausage fest that sells for way over retail and comes in a nice box.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Rolex Daytona.
Ooh, good one.
Rolex Daytona. It's true. Now, I'm not saying that there's not the occasional female that wears a Rolex Daytona. That happens. But there's also there's also always the woman that at the party that has to crash the guy's little bourbon hour and say, oh, I just put hair on my chest. I love this. Okay, it's fine. This was actually just the guys for right now.
Why'd you make it sound like a keg troll?
Yeah, what?
A keg troll.
A keg troll?
Yeah.
I don't know if that is that a frat thing?
Yeah, it must have been, yeah.
No.
We had a few people that we called keg troll.
Really? Well, there's always that woman it's my mom. My mom's that woman at a party. None of the men in the room had to acknowledge that they too like bourbon, but the woman wants to come in and say, I like bourbon too,
Yeah, the keg troll,
It's like
so no one gets a wrong idea.
The guys just poured it. The guys just poured the bourbon.
It's the girl that's always there. Like she's a bro. She hangs out with the boys.
Yeah.
Talks with the boys. Shoots.
Yeah.
She's a tech troll.
Are you calling my mother a whore?
No.
Okay, good thing.
Sounds like you are though. What I also like is Colonel Taylor's the one thing. It's like you buy it and when you pour it, you have to. I feel like the people, not John necessarily, but the people that have been around that have poured it before, they have to let you know how rare it is.
Yeah.
They're hard to get.
Exactly.
And then it's like, oh well, I knew a guy, so I got it for retail.
Yes.
But it's like I could sell this and double my money.
Exactly. It's the same.
It's the same thing.
It's the same culture around it. The Colonel Taylor bourbon was, it was just like a Rolex Daytona. These were never supposed to be like the uber collectible top of the rung product. It was supposed to be a kind of an entry-level luxury product. Like it's just a good watch. Daytona's just a good watch.
Yeah.
It's not a Richard Mille, right? It's, it wasn't hand assembled by blind virgins, And yet the demand around it, the culture around it, the branding of it, the boxing of it, there's a lot of parallel there. Today's episode is sponsored by our friends over at Squarespace, a very long-time partner of this channel. But even before that, a partner in my business, in my online retail business that I think is invaluable. Squarespace has always been, for the last 10 years since I've been using them, a purveyor of the most intelligent and beautiful and functional web design and development tools. And now, 10 years later, with all of their new technology, I can't even believe what they're delivering to people every single day. And I don't just think you need to take a look at Squarespace if you're starting a new business, like I did when I was starting mine, but also if you've got a website and got a business, take 10 minutes, poke around on Squarespace, take a look at some of their tools, at least consider using them as your partner instead of where you currently are, because I'm telling you, I've tried the partners, I had tried them. They were comparably awful. Absolutely awful. Between Squarespace's new SEO tools, their fluid engine system, which allows you to drag and drop all over the new website and design, their flexible payment system, their client invoicing, everything about Squarespace is just cuts, not a cut, but cuts above the competition. And really, I think it would be insane to not take a look at the better purveyor, the better partner, the stronger partner, the partner that is, moving ceaselessly toward betterment of your business and of your life. So I highly recommend you go ahead and take a look at Squarespace and use the code Theo Harris for 10% off of your first website or domain. That is squarespace.com/Theo Harris for 10% off of your first website or domain. Couldn't recommend you go on over there fast enough. Next one. As a general class, IPAs, India Pale Ales.
Yeah.
The description I wrote here is, and we all know guys that drink IPAs, very expensive. They're, you can't possibly keep up with all the brands. If you're not really following, then you probably think they're all speaking gibberish.
They also say that they're all connoisseurs.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the description I wrote for IPAs. Annoying pseudo-intellectual that used to be thin and live in Brooklyn and is now in the suburb getting kind of fat.
It's very good.
I'll read it again. It's which watch brand is an annoying pseudo-intellectual that used to be thin and live in Brooklyn and is now in the suburbs getting kind of fat.
Tell me.
It's Grand Seiko. it's Grand Seiko.
No wonder my watch brands hate you.
Like to a T, by the way. To a T. I obviously love the brand, love all these brands, but oh my God. You ever talk to a Grand Seiko guy? Like they're so obsessed with I think it's a pretty good lesson in life to generally assume that people don't. Passers-by, people that you're just running into, don't actually care what you think about anything. They don't really care. And Grand Seiko lovers are far more likely to give you a dissertation on a product while your eyes wander. Like you're like, and they're still talking about how the convergence of mechanical supremacy and quartz making, it could only be possible at Grand Seiko and culminated with the spring drive. And it's like, shut up. Oh my God.
And then similar to IPAs, I feel like Grand Seiko puts out so many different watches.
Yes.
It's hard to keep up.
Yes.
It is hard to keep up with the releases.
Very good comparison. You're absolutely right. It's impossible to keep up.
Just like IPAs. And to be honest, no one gives a
Next. Now we're drinking Miller Lights here, but the light beer that I chose here is a Bud Light. What do I write for Bud Light, right? I'm not gonna write about how it tastes like, water. Bud Light is way out of its lane and to no obvious benefit. Bud Light went way out of its lane and to no obvious benefit, to no real positive end for anybody. Any idea? I didn't go with a brand here. It was hard to assign a brand, but this is a specific model.
No, tell me.
The Tiffany Blue Patek Nautilus.
It's perfect.
This is Patek Philippe, I think, being essentially forced or whatever, being really strong-armed by Tiffany, which was under new leadership, to produce a watch that was so out of its lane, so antithetical to anything they've ever done before, anything they'd ever done, right? You took the Tiffany co-branding, this really small little print, this really you have to look like, as John Mayer was saying, look closer and look closer still. It's really conservative, old money, really just under the radar, it's even cooler when you look closer. And they turned it into, they went way out of their lane. They undermined all of their history. They went out of the lane and they turned it into a very loud, obvious, bright status symbol and co-branding, not just status symbol, but co-branding, which is bizarre, so unprecedented for Patek Philippe. And to no obvious benefit. I mean, even John Mayer, who and Ed Sheeran said, kind of embarrassed even owning it, because it's like, ooh, I can't believe they did that. And it probably was the closest that Patek has come to damaging their brand. Probably the closest they'd ever come to damaging their brand. I definitely think that's true. I don't think that Patek Philippe has damaged their brand in the way that Audemars Piguet had with their Spider-Man or whatever, but the Spider-Man would not have the same criticism. I wouldn't say it's out of their lane, because now that is their lane. AP's lane is stupid collabs with Marvel. It's just dumb collabs. It's dumb kitschy collabs. So it's not. But for Patek Philippe, this was very unusual and to no obvious benefit. I don't think that Patek Philippe, I don't think they made more money doing that. I don't think it made any sense at all. Next, Dewar's and Cutty Sark. Cutty Sark being the scotch that I grew up most closely pouring and drinking myself. Dewar's being, really just the twin there, the sibling there.
Blue-collar scotch.
Blue-collar scotch.
That's really what it is.
Mass-produced, gets the job done.
The working man. That's what they're drinking.
The working man. That's exactly right. The description I wrote here is, working class, often problematically drunk, and absolutely, at some point, an accessory to murder.
Classic.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very outer boroughs.
Very outer boroughs. So working class, often problematically drunk, and absolutely, at some point, an accessory to murder. Invicta. It's true. There's an aspirational aspect to it, right? Yep. People that were drinking Dewar's were in that same experience of holding the glass with the rocks in it. Because it's going through the motions of what they would think would be luxury. But yet, let's get real, right? It's not, and it's Dewar's. It's Dewar's. And I grew up drinking these things, so I'm not making fun.
It's one of those things where it's that's your day to day. You put your Invicta on. Honestly, I'll even throw Seiko in there as well. Those types of, Seiko's better quality than Invicta, but similar where it's that's an everyday watch. You can get it for $150.
But I do think an Invicta owner as an archetype has, or a Seiko owner as an archetype, has a better control over their anger and emotions and is less likely to commit murder.
Gotcha.
I think that an Invicta owner is probably a little bit more likely than a Seiko owner. Seiko owner is almost a little dorkier.
Yeah.
If a Seiko owner commits murder, that is really premeditated.
Gotcha.
These are smart. Yeah. Invicta owner is probably more on the side of through a couple. We had a couple. Some words were said. Some feelings were hurt.
Also, this guy,
and it is what it is. It is what it is.
This hypothetical guy, he's 5'5", 5'6", stocky, with a 46 millimeter Invicta on his wrist.
100%.
Way too big.
100%.
Way too big.
Not even a particularly violent guy, but kind of just slipped down this rail.
You don't want to with him. Let's put it that way.
And he killed you.
Yeah.
He killed somebody.
He killed somebody.
He killed the man. Rick killed the guy.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that. You might want to lay low for a little bit.
Exactly. So next one here. It's not just champagne as a genre, but Veuve Clicquot.
Yes.
Veuve Clicquot. One of the most popular champagnes. Here's the description. Attempts to be elegant, is less luxurious than it used to be, And now it's absurdly priced and very mass market.
Okay, I think I know where you're going with this, but hit me with it.
Cartier.
That.
Cartier at its peak was higher than Veuve Clicquot, of course, but these two brands have had a very similar trajectory. Lower production quantities, prices, while expensive, were not absolutely absurd, and yet in the last, for Cartier, it's been, I think it's Cartier in the last 20 years, Veuve Clicquot in the last maybe 5 or 6. The expansion, the growth, the mass market appeal, how many watches are out there, and the price points. There are a couple of exceptions at Cartier, but generally speaking, the price point at Cartier has become absurd, just like Veuve Clicquot. Veuve Clicquot prices have gone up over 50%, I think, in the last few years. It's insane. It's insane. So I think that's a good comparison.
So I don't give Veuve Clicquot as a gift. I give Paul Roger.
You give Paul Roger.
Yeah, my favorite.
That's a good one.
It's a great one.
Less known.
And it's cheaper.
And it's
like $10, and I think it's better personally.
There you go.
So I don't know what the watch comparison to Cartier there is, but that's why I don't give Veuve.
Last one.
Go for it.
White Claw.
Favorite.
I kept this one short and simple. Ought to be left to the women folk. That's something my grandfather would say. Better left to the women folk. Chanel.
Good.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. They have their things. We have our things. And listen, every once in a while, if you want to put on a women's watch, God knows I've done it, right? You want to walk around with a little pair of high heels every once in a while, God bless you. But generally speaking, Chanel's not really for us, guys. Chanel's for them. Chanel's for them. Some things are for them. Some things are for us. Chanel's for them, and Doers is really more for us,
I like
right?
that.
I think and it's a fair comparison.
I like that a lot.
It's a fair comparison. So
this was fun.
I enjoyed this.
This was nice.
I love having a beer with you, buddy.
I love you too, buddy.
Glad to have you back. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like more content from Theo and Harris, go ahead and subscribe to our channel at the 0 down below for exclusive content. For more content here, subscribe to Theo and Harris. And of course, take a look at the Theo and Harris Vintage Watch Shop and shop all things vintage watches. That's it.
That's a wrap.